Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Valentine with a little bit later than I wanted to review of Justice League in 4DX and a small discussion of the DCEU so far. So this is going to be a spoiler review, an in-depth discussion of the film, and a little bit of my feeling of the series of films so far. I would say if you just want a brief touch base, it's definitely pretty good. It's solid. It's a good foundation to build on. I feel like it's a little bit. The DCU has been kind of lambasted by critics. They've made one truly amazing film with Wonder Woman, one good film with Man of Steel, one very interesting film with Batman v Superman, and one terrible film with Suicide Squad. So if we take it in that descending order, it's a scale, definitely, but I don't think it's as bad as sometimes people make it out to be on the internet or Twitter or the critics. You can definitely. It's a film that was being directed by Zack Snyder, and in the final rounds of reshoots and edits, Zack Snyder's daughter unfortunately passed away from suicide, and they brought in Josh Whedon to complete the reshoots and to create an edit for the film. Now, the film feels a lot like the first Avengers. The first act is us meeting the team. The second act is kind of them fighting and figuring out who each other are, and the third one is them dealing with the problem that they've come together to fight. This is going to be a spoiler review, so there's a couple of interesting things. Superman's in the movie at least 25% of the film. Some people have commented on the CGI of Henry Cavill. Personally, I didn't find it distracting at all. I thought it was pretty seamless. Some of the fights with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, when they're fighting Steppenwolf, are more apparent, where you can feel the CGI doesn't have as much weight. But I thought Henry Cavill's mustache gate was not distracting for the film at all. And also, when he comes in, they do this great fight sequence with the Justice League versus Superman, and he comes in the third act to help them out to fight Steppenwolf, and I thought that was pretty great. You really get with this iteration of the three times Henry Cavill's played the character that it's the first one that feels closer to the spirit of Superman, closer to the Christopher Reeve style performance. Superman's supposed to be kind of a hokey character. It's supposed to be an embodiment of an ideal that, we can't always reach in real life. There is a Green Lantern, not the Green Lantern, shown in a flashback sequence. There is Deathstroke in an after credits, which was pretty cool to see. His costume was not as good as the one on Arrow. I think the one on Arrow is a little bit better. Lex Luthor is being more suave Lex Luthor and less manic depressive, schizophrenic Lex Luthor that we got in Batman v Superman. Bruce is pretty good. Gal Gadot is incredible. She's for someone who's as aesthetically pleasing as Gal Gadot is, as beautiful as she is, she's very charismatic, and charisma is something different than beauty. The way she can play off of people and how she interacts with each person in the Justice League, it really works for the film. You really get this idea of if Batman is the dad and Wonder Woman's the mom. And you have, the Flash, who kind of has a little bit of a crush on her, or is just kind of like stumbling around to figure himself out. Cyborg kind of needs reassurance that, there's only one thing that I thought was not good about this film was they made it seem that Cyborg at some point would get taken over by Steppenwolf or by the Mother Boxes, and didn't pay off. And I think an interesting thing they could have done, if they didn't want to drag the main continuity of the film down, is they could have done it in a post-credit sequence where you see him get taken over, so that he may become a problem to the Justice League, or even if they say do it within the first 10 minutes of his own Cyborg movie, they put him in Flashpoint. But I think there was this thing of Aquaman thought he would get taken over. He thought he would get taken over. Diana reassured him. but it didn't pay off. So that's the only part that I thought was not necessary. If they were kind of hinting, and it didn't go anywhere. This film starts three times, which is that's a classic kind of thing in these big comic book movies where you have to kind of reintroduce all the characters and stuff. So we get a brief moment with Superman interacting with some children, which I thought was very good. We get a brief moment where Batman uses a suspect to bring out one of the parademons. And we get a moment with Diana saving some people from a museum from a terrorist attack. My favorite of the three was probably Wonder Woman. The Batman stuff I thought was okay. Ben Affleck, you can see he's lost the passion that he had in Batman v Superman. Like Batman v Superman, the version that was shown in theaters is a mess. It's a beautiful mess. I think aesthetically it's really nice to look at, and I thought the special effects were really incredible. The director's cut is a much better film. I still would shave 20 minutes off of the director's cut to make it maybe 2 hours and 40 minutes instead of a full 3 hours. But Ben Affleck's performance was really one of my favorite performances of Batman, and you don't feel that same fire in him in this performance. But Ben Affleck is a great actor and a great performer, so it's still serviceable. Personally, of his most recent appearances, I would say The Accountant is my favorite. But here he's a little bit on autopilot, but his moments with Gal Gadot are really good. Like Gal Gadot and him, I think a Bruce and Diana film would work really well. I don't know if they'll take it there now that Ben Affleck says that he doesn't want to continue doing these films anymore. He's kind of Schrodinger's cat, like he's in, he's out, he's in, he's out. So we don't know where he'll go. Personally, my hope is that they this film does well enough to warrant a sequel. I know they're talking about doing a Flashpoint to kind of reboot the continuity. I'm hoping they don't do that. I kind of like the dings and markers in this universe. Suicide Squad for me was the only movie I thought was bad of all the films that they've done in this universe. Personally, I thought Suicide Squad, the editing was bad, the overplay of commercial music was bad, and the plot was kind of cookie cutter. But the characterization, the acting, and the costumes were really good. And again, in this movie, that the plot, the main plot is a little dull, but the interactions of the characters, the chemistry that the actors have, I really want to see these people on an adventure. They really should borrow from the Justice League cartoons from the early 2000s and do maybe a smaller story with these characters. You could have them locked in a place, working together to get through an event, and just have the characters bouncing off of each other would be really great. Personally, I hope the film does well enough to warrant a sequel. The 4DX experience, which I haven't done too much in this review because I've been talking mainly about the plot, to me, the 4DX is really fun. The only thing is Aquaman, because of his water powers, you do get sprayed a lot in the face, and it messes a little bit with the 3D glasses. In the last fight, especially when Bruce is using the vehicles, you really feel the chair shaking and moving. 4DX is an experience that kind of takes a conventional film and turns it into like a Universal style experience where the chair is moving, you have lights, you have like air pockets kind of going. The air stuff is really cool, especially if like guns are shooting, you really feel it kind of whiz past your ear. It's a very surreal experience. To me personally, the best one I've done so far is Rogue One, because even though Rogue One as a film was only all right to me, the experience of the space battles was incredible. Guardians of the Galaxy was really good because of the space battles, because you really get this feeling like the chair gets this full motion, like you're in a vehicle moving with the characters, which is really wonderful. I would definitely say 4DX adds to the experience, but it's definitely not a film that you have to watch in 4DX. But hopefully you go out and support this film. Personally, like everyone else, I'm hoping they'll do an extended cut. I wish Josh and Zack Snyder could have worked together on this project, because, you feel the footprints of Zack in the visuals, and Josh, you feel the footprints in the inner character interactions and the more quippy style jokes. Like you can feel certain moments. Joss Whedon added a joke or added a beat to try to kind of lighten the mood and not to make it as somber as Zach did with Batman v Superman. So none of it feels out of character. The only moment I thought was a little too much is there's a moment where Superman, when he comes out of being reanimated, he flicks Batman down the street, and there's a moment where Batman's kind of on the ground and he's going like, I do bleed, I do bleed," and it's cute, but it doesn't feel in spirit of the character. But all the other jokes work really well. The camaraderie all the actors have is great. I hope they get to work together again. I'm hoping Ben toughens it up and does. I'm hoping if he wants to leave, I'm hoping he leaves in 3 pictures. I'm hoping that they can do Justice League 2, a good Batman movie, and then Flashpoint, and then they can put whoever they want to be the next Batman. But it's definitely an experience. I haven't seen Thor Ragnarok. It's not as good as Wonder Woman, but it's definitely fun. And like I said, the characters are great, and I'm hoping everyone goes out to see it. Peace.